Hey everyone, Robert Ferringo back once again with Raphael Esparza, bringing you What Are the Odds? Be sure to go over to docsports.com to check out the sharpest action from the best team of handicappers in the industry, including two of them right here. Raphael, great to see you. I know it's been a little bit for us, but we are back and we are kind of in like a little sports betting vortex right now, with college basketball wrapping up but not quite finished, NBA and NHL heading down the stretch towards the playoffs, baseball just starting, and then lots of fringy sports like you got your UFC, you got your golf events picking up. The Masters is coming up pretty soon. Kentucky Derby is not far out. So where does this time period rank for you in terms of the whole 12-month calendar of sports betting?
For all you negative people out there, you get his email is Robert at, because he forgot the UFL. Week 1 starts today.
That's right. Spring
So
football.
you can send those negative comments, you UFL fans out there. This is one of the seasons that I tell people, oh, the NFL, there's no football on TV. What are we gonna do? Well, you know what? Shut up. Put your TV on, see what's on the schedule today. Because don't forget, college baseball is playing. I'm watching college baseball right now. Major League Baseball. We got Sweet 16. We got women's Sweet 16 as well. So this is the time of year that I love, and this is the time of year I give the double birds. So there's no football on. I miss college football in the NFL. Give me a break. Money is money, no matter what sport you bet on.
Now, you used to work in Las Vegas sports books. You did that for almost 15 years, around that. This time of the year, not as many fringe sports to bet back then, I imagine. But what is this like for the odds makers this time of year? Is this difficult that they're kind of getting spread a little bit thin? Or are they trying to drum up business right now?
It's not
adding things to bet on.
It's not difficult because you know what it is? It's springtime season. So you have kids blowing their parents' credit cards through the roof, betting on sports, the fringe sports, the March Madness, learning how to play the horses because it's the Derby. Ooh, I got my mom's credit card. I'm going to bet on the brown horse or stuff like that. So this is your ticket count is high, but your big bets are low. So you have to either take your punches. Do you want the big bets, the wise guys in, or do you want the Joeys and the squares putting all this money in? But you know what? This is spring break, but it's also a spring break for the people who are working in the sports book and who are working in the casinos, who you have to stay home because either their kids are on spring break or this is a vacation time. So it's a little bit give and take. Some books or some staffs are a little bit light staffed because it's not football season. So it's a give or take right now. But normally March Madness and normally spring break time is a lot of college kids blowing up their parents' credit cards.
All right, I want to give a shout out to Lee Crosby and Nick Gutierrez, who are new members to the Doc Sports YouTube channel. I would also like to take this time to point out to anyone that is watching, don't forget about Doc's YouTube Premium. Okay, that's a service that we're offering for $49.99 a month, I believe it is. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. $49.99 a month. And you get 3 free premium picks every day on that Doc's Premium. I believe Craig Trapp is handling that right now, but what he does is we have a team of 12 handicappers that are all releasing plays in various sports. He will cherry pick 3 premium plays and offer them to you as free plays in that Docs Premium. So it really is a heck of a value. So be sure to check that out. Also, as my producer so brilliantly has done, put up the crawl down there, get $60 of free premium member picks at DocSports.com. That is $60, same as cash, to be used at Doc Sports. You can use that, as I always say, for any handicapper, any sport, any package. Raphael, do you have any top plays going this evening?
I'm trying to think. I forgot.
Total, right? College basketball total?
Oh, yeah, I do have a thing.
Okay, I do have so he has his 6-unit college basketball total. I have my 8-unit college basketball game of the year. Probably my final big play of the college basketball season, depending on what the numbers are like in the little crown tournament that they have next week. But probably my last big play. You could get both of those for free if you use that free 60 account. This is $30 a piece for single day packages. So yeah, click on that link, take advantage of that. right
I
there.
do have a
So,
premium. I do have a premium, a small. I shouldn't say small play, a 4 unit play, and daily props, which is a college basketball play, which I'm crushing in it. And prop plays, I think I'm up a little bit over 3. But college basketball prop bets, I've been
oh, you
cleaning
have the
up for the
last
munch.
last week, especially. I remember 4 or 5 days in a row. It
Yeah,
was just like, okay, pop it,
yeah.
pop it,
So
pop
college
it.
basketball daily prop bet today, and way the numbers are looking right now, and we're going to talk about tomorrow's games. I could have another sneaky one tomorrow.
All right, let's get right into it. First, before we get into today's games in the Sweet 16, any final thoughts from yesterday's Sweet 16 action?
Guess I was just happy an SEC team went home after blowing a big lead for Arkansas and Texas Tech. I really like Texas Tech. I didn't play it myself because I thought the number was tad too high, even though I was rooting for Texas Tech. I wasn't giving the glory of a Cinderella team with Arkansas when they have all these All-Americans and transfers from Kentucky that follow him to Arkansas. Was not a small school of Arkansas. I had tons of talent that just followed Calipari. So I'm never going to give Calipari a Cinderella story with his kids playing basketball. So I was a little bit shocked at how bad they blew that lead and Texas Tech steals that game. This is one of the ones that you see on TV. Who won the game? Did Texas Tech win the game or Arkansas blow the game? And I'm 110%. Arkansas blew the game.
Yeah, I mean, man, you got to make your free throws, right?
Yep.
Like a guy misses the front end of a 1-and-1, at least of them being able to tie that. They didn't defend very well with the lead over the last 2 minutes. They were going
Dumb
to get
shots.
they knew
Today.
that they knew Texas Tech was going to shoot threes, but they were not closing out on those shooters very well and making them get to the basket and make tough twos. So I agree with you. I mean, they had a 16-point lead in the second half. They had a 13-point lead with like 4 minutes left. Those are tough games to lose. Did cover the spread though. So a 3-0 night against the spread for the SEC. Do you see that trend continuing? Just generally speaking, we'll get into the individual games in a minute, but generally speaking, I feel like the takeaways from last night were a lot of scoring, the overhit in all these games. 7 out of the 8 teams scored 83 or more points. 2 teams topped 100, bunch of teams topped 90. So the over, I feel like people are going to be looking at tonight, expecting that to continue in these games. And as I mentioned, SEC goes 3-0 against the spread. We have, 2 SEC teams are playing each other, so you can't take that, but 2 more SEC teams available. Do you think I'm onto something here? Do you think bettors are going to be looking SEC and over tonight?
The bettors are just thrilled because they're having a monster NCAA tournament. So they're just thrilled. So I think that's why some of these numbers are moving because the bettors have a little bit extra coin in their wallet. They crushed it yesterday with the favorite and over. Parlays all came in even with the money line parlays with the big schools and everything else. So I think numbers are moving because bettors have cash. So it's gonna be very interesting to see if the trends continues today, or do we see maybe a number one go down, or maybe 2 number ones go down today? Because I mean, the trends have been favored and over. Can we see it back-to-back days though? It'd be interesting.
Do you think that we're going to see as much high scoring? You're a big totals guy, and we have 2 totals in the mid 140s, one in the low 130s, and then the Michigan Auburn is at 155, which feels a touch high. But do you anticipate that we're going to see as much scoring tonight as we did yesterday?
Not like yesterday. Michigan is going to want to try to slow down Auburn because I think they need a low-scoring game to hang around in that one. Houston's playing tonight as well, so you figure a low-scoring game. And then you have 2 SEC teams, even though Kentucky scored at will both the times they played Tennessee. That's why they're 2-0 this year. So I think we'll see some overs, but like yesterday, but I can see a couple low-scoring games, especially in the Michigan game.
All right, let's start with the first game of the evening, which I thought was the most difficult to handicap, really. Ole Miss, Michigan State, that number's at 3.5. The total's at 144, which almost seems a little bit low. Michigan State, look, you might think they have flaws, and they do. They're one of the worst shooting teams left in the field. Izzo, for all the love that he gets, and he is. The guy's a Hall of Fame coach. Hands down, no doubt. I'm not questioning his bona fides. But it's been 25 years since he's won a national championship. A lot of love heading Michigan State's way. Deservedly so, in your opinion, or not?
I'm going to say yes. I mean, he does win a lot of games in March. I think he's covered his last 6 of his last 7 games in the month of March. I just think whoever wins the rebound game, which Michigan State will, because Ole Miss cannot rebound. That's why I think Michigan State easily wins this game because Ole Miss does not crash the boards. Michigan State gets a lot of second chance points. I'm looking for go green, go white, go home, SEC, and that type of thing. So I think Michigan State wins this one. And Ole Miss 5-12 against the spread their last 17 games. They have not been covering the stuff, and Michigan State's been a covering machine as of late, even though they lost in the Big Ten tournament. But they've still been covering machines as of late. I just don't like the rebounding game that Ole Miss is going to have.
Yeah, Michigan State's 9-1 against the spread in their last 10 games, and this is the smallest spread of any on the board. Is there value with the Spartans? Like, why shouldn't we just be riding the Spartan momentum train until it ends?
Yeah, I made this number 4.5, and I almost positive put a question mark on it. Yeah, put a question mark on it, thinking I was maybe going to be a half a point or a full point off. And then it opened up at 4, and then it went down to 3.5. So I don't know why the significant line movement. I mean, it's not big significant, but I'm actually shocked that this was not 5. I really thought it was going to be 5 on tip off, and I don't think we'll see that. So I think there's great value with Michigan State tonight.
All right, talking with I talked with Griffin Murphy on Docs Daily before this show. And for those of you watching, Docs Daily is on Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern every day. Raphael pops in there every Wednesday. I'm on there Thursday and Friday. Griffin Murphy, Nick Menken, Craig Trapp, a lot of Docs handicappers cycling through Docs Daily. Be sure to check that out. But anyway, Griffin, he had a free play on Ole Miss, and I kind of liked what he did. He said, don't take the points, take the money line. What are your thoughts on that strategy either way in this game? Like, well, I guess if you like Michigan State, you just lay the 3.5 points. You don't want to lay the big juice. But if you like Ole Miss, take the money line, right? Like, I just don't know if we're going to see a one possession game here. I feel like if Ole Miss covers the spread, it's going to be because they win. No,
I agree. I mean, if you can get plus 155, there's a couple plus 160s on there. Yeah, take the money line. Why take the plus 3.5? But if you're an Ole Miss fan, it's almost like the Super Bowl when you have a -2 or 2.5, and if you're going to bet the dog, sure, why don't you just bet the money line? So I 100% agree what Griffin said today.
All right. Another interesting game, 2 SEC teams, Tennessee versus Kentucky. You briefly touched on it. Kentucky won both of the matchups with Tennessee earlier this season. Shot great in both games. They shot exactly 12 for 24 from 3-point range in both of those games, and that really was what did it. However, even though Kentucky won both matchups in the regular season, even though Kentucky is the more public team, Tennessee is still a pretty firm 4.5-point favorite. What did you see when you looked at this side in total?
That I wish I was quick on my index finger and taking the plus 5.5 when it came out, because I really like Big Blue Nation in this game. I'm a big believer. I'm not scared that they beat them not once but twice. I think they beat them 3 times. It's all because the pace of play, and we've been seeing pace of play all day yesterday. Pace of play is the reason why the favorites crushed it and the games went over. If Kentucky can control the pace of play and not let Tennessee set in their defense, then I think we're going to see a three-peat easily. Kentucky is 15-5 against the spread as an underdog. You're going to give me Kentucky, Big Blue Nation, plus the points and March Madness? I'll take my shot at the plus points. Again, stupid finger was too slow. I missed the 5.5.
I always like to point out at this stage of the game what a loser Rick Barnes is. Also, he has one of the worst.
Yeah, I didn't say that, but
one of the worst against the spread records in NCAA tournament history. And this isn't even the whole record. I don't have that somewhere. I have that. I think it's like 10-32 against the spread, something like that, something ridiculous. But I do know since 2018, he is 6-18 against the spread in the NCAA tournament. But I have to tell you, Raphael, I am in total disagreement with you on this one. The only reason this isn't on my card is because of the Rick Barnes factor. I'm not going to get caught with that idiot. Like, I'm not going to get caught with having money on such a proven loser. However, I don't think Kentucky is going to beat them 3 times because I just don't think that there's that big a talent disparity between these two teams. I think Tennessee is the better team. They're a little more physical, play better defense. No Jackson Robinson for Kentucky, where they did have him in the first game. And to your point, it all comes down to shooting. Is Kentucky going to shoot 50% from 3-point range for a 3rd straight game against that fantastic Tennessee defense? I don't think so. Not with a few days to prepare. And it's not like you're in the heart of the SEC schedule where games can get lost and things can overlap. Like, Kentucky's offense has had Tennessee's full, unfettered attention all week. They are going to be prepared for this team. And if Kentucky isn't hitting threes, I just don't know what their counter punch is in this game. They don't really have one. Where Tennessee, I feel like, can beat you a few different ways. They can beat you with their guards. They can pound the ball underneath. They play a little faster pace than we've seen Volunteer teams the last few years. They can win with defense and rebounding. So I just feel like Tennessee has a lot more outs in this game than Kentucky, where it's like they got to shoot 50, 55% from three-point range. If they don't, they're not going to win. Thoughts?
For me, it's pace of play. I know you said that Tennessee can move the ball up and down and a little bit more speed than normal. I agree with that. But if you let Tennessee set that defense, then I think they win this game. I just think Kentucky won't. I think Kentucky will spread the ball around and use their speed. I think Kentucky has more speed than Tennessee. I just like the plus points, and one of us is winning tonight and one of us is losing tonight.
Always, right? What are your thoughts on the total in this game? Again, you have such familiarity. You like it as a more faster paced game. So does that mean that you're leading on the over? I'm looking back real quickly. There are two matchups this year. 139 points in one and 151 points in the other. So kind of around this number, but what do you think?
This total opened up at 146. I think a couple of books, including Westgate or Superbook, has 144.5. I wish this was a little bit later game because I would like to see what the first game crowd does to this game. Do they bet the over? Do they bet the under on this game? But I made the total 145, 146, so it's right there. But if the number keeps on dropping, I'm probably going to maybe take a shot at the over.
Interesting that it is dropping, indicating under money coming in. Do you think that came in from earlier in the week? Or do you think that that's sharp action after last night? All the games went over. We're going to bet the under tonight type thing.
No, it came in 3 days ago that it started dropping down. So it wasn't from last night.
Yeah,
that's what
and
I
then
think.
Then after last night's scoring fest, I wonder if a lot of those people sitting on those under tickets are like, oh damn, maybe I should hedge off this a little bit. So all right, we're going to keep it rolling into the third game of the evening. Michigan versus Auburn. This is the 9:40 tip. Auburn, big favorite, 8.5, 9-point favorite. Very similar to what we saw with Duke last night. Duke won but did not cover. Kind of not really a backdoor situation, but it basically came down to layups and free throws in the final 45 seconds of that game. What are your thoughts here about Michigan and Auburn?
I'm hoping the bettors look at the SEC and I can get a half a point on the 9. I would love to get plus 9.5. Maybe I'll buy it to 10, or maybe I'll live bet it to see if I can get a double-digit plus favorite on this one. I think Michigan's a live dog on this one. I'm a little bit shocked that Auburn's still in it. I thought they were going to have a hiccup and be the first number one to be out. Yes, they have a fantastic record against the Big Ten. Yes, they've won 6 straight games against the Big Ten, but they're not a covering machine. They've had a hard time covering games all season long. I think they're 1-6 against the spread their last 7. I'm just not a big fan of this Auburn team. I think I've been saying this for a month. I think Florida was the best team in the SEC, not Auburn. So I can see Michigan making this game just ugly, low-scoring game. Either they win outright or they cover this number. So I'm a big Michigan fan on this game.
17 of Michigan's games this year have been decided by 4 points or less. Yeah. Okay, so you can look at that one of two ways. You can look at that and say this team has a knack for just playing close games and they can keep it close against Auburn. Or what would you say if I said, and I'm not saying I look at it this way, but I'm saying you can look at it as maybe this Michigan team really isn't as good as people think they are, because they were a lot closer to losing a lot of those games. They weren't a dominant team. You look at their record and the, almost 30 wins that they're creeping up on or whatever it is. But you say, you know what? They could have lost another half dozen of those games. Yeah, they're 27-9. And maybe they're closer to like a 13-loss team than they are a 30 win team. Maybe they just had some fortunate luck in these close games, and maybe they're not as good as people think they are. What are your thoughts on that philosophy?
This Michigan team reminds me, I'm going to do a football metaphor right here, of when the New York Giants won the Super Bowl on a wild card, beating the almighty Patriots. Was that New York Giants team a really, really good football team? No, they got hot when they needed. Michigan got hot when they needed. They win the Big Ten tournament. They win some games here in the NCAA tournament, and they're rolling the dice for free money. And when you're a kid, I'm sure these kids know that we were not supposed to be here. Probably Michigan State was supposed to be here. Purdue was supposed to be here. They weren't favored. They know they weren't the favorite to win the Big Ten tournament. They knew they weren't not even close to being the favorite to win this. Where they in the East? I can't remember.
The South. The
South.
South.
They knew they weren't the favorite to win the South, and now they're playing the Sweet 16 game. So I just think they're playing hot when they were supposed to be not.
Okay, what about you don't like Auburn? You didn't think that they were going to be here. What about that SEC trend that we saw? What do you think that carryover is in this game? Don't forget, this game is being played in Atlanta. Auburn is going to have the home crowd advantage for them, and we know that this team plays better when they have the crowd behind them. At what point should we just be, you know what, if it's SEC versus everybody else, I'm just going to take the SEC team until they stop covering. Do you think we're at that point yet?
No, because I have a big bet on the field at -120 versus the SEC. So go field.
Not thinking about hedging off that one, huh?
Probably will. If I can get we'll see what the money line on who's in the final championship game, the Final Fours.
Yeah, you're going to be in trouble when Alabama beats Duke. And it's Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, and Auburn in the Final Four. So, Raphael, one of the things I like to talk about, especially this time of year, when it comes to college basketball betting, is you don't take the points unless you think the team can win. Okay? This game is kind of an example of that theory, I feel like. All right? If you think Auburn wins, you take Auburn, and you don't worry about the number. If you think Michigan can win this game, then obviously you take the points. But I just don't like the philosophy, and going back to that Kentucky-Tennessee game too, right? Like, you don't take Kentucky thinking, okay, I got 4.5 points, they can lose by 3, and I win. Yes, that's mathematically possible, and that can happen. But just from a strategy standpoint, you should not be betting on underdogs that you do not think have a realistic chance to win outright. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that, look, there's just some value with taking the points as we get further along in these tournaments, the games do get tighter because the talent level is a little closer. So there's more value in the points without winning. Like, where do you kind of stand on this?
Yeah, from the Sweet 16 down below, I would think if you're going to take a team, like I thought, there's some of the plus points that I saw yesterday. I was betting them, thinking, okay, they can beat Duke, or they can beat this team. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Now, round one, when you have -27 and stuff like that, no, I'm not going to take a bigger number, thinking they're going to win again. I'm going to take as many points as the odds makers or the books giving me. But from Sweet 16 to Grade A to the Final Four and all that, if I'm looking at a plus, I'm looking them to win, not just a cover.
Okay, the final game that we're going to talk about for tonight is Purdue at Houston. Another big number. I see Purdue still at +8.5. Lowest total. Total is around 133, all because of Houston's defense, though this Houston team can score. Now, I kind of like Purdue. I actually do think they can win this game. Okay, for months, I've been coming on this show, on Doc's Daily, saying, don't bet against Houston. Don't bet against Houston. There's no money in it, because they just kill people. You look at they're 28-1 since November 30th. That Thanksgiving was a long time ago, Raphael, and they are 28-1 since that time. They've won 15 straight games. What are your thoughts on this number? And do you think someone's crazy if they are betting against Houston?
I could see Purdue winning, because Purdue is one of those teams that don't have that many transfer people. They have teams, their guys have been playing basketball with each other for a very, very long time. I like their backcourt. Their backcourt doesn't get talked much if they should. I love their backcourt. I think their backcourt can probably frustrate Houston this one. Gonzaga put up 70 points against this Houston defense. So their defense can give up points. I like Purdue team total over 61.5. Purdue averaged 78 points a game in their last 7 games. I mean, this Houston defense, yes, it's stifling. Yes, they give up no numbers, but they also could put up points as well. So if you're Purdue, if you want to hang around or even steal this game, you need to score in the mid-60s, period. Win or lose, you need to put up a mid-60 mark against this Houston D. Even though I have Houston cutting down the nets, if I did a bracket, I would not be shocked if Purdue shocks them just because of their backcourt play.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you that if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to score. And I feel like people talk a lot about Houston's offense, defense. They don't talk a lot about that offense. They have some guys that put the ball in the hole. Like Miles Uzan, he can score. LJ Cryer,
he can score 30 every night if he wants to.
Right, he can score. They've scored over 72 points in every one of their postseason games. They won the Big 12 tournament and in the NCAA tournament. So we're talking about a team that's putting up around 75 points per game. Purdue's going to have to play in that neighborhood if they want to. And I feel like Purdue's perfectly comfortable playing in that. A guy to watch for in tonight's game is Fletcher Lawyer. I think that he is their two guard. He is a dead-eye shooter, fantastic shooter for Purdue. Did not shoot very well last weekend against High Point and McNeese State. Was held to 8 points in the first round, 15 points in the second round, but didn't look good doing it. Just looked like his shot was a little bit off. You know, all the focus on Houston's defense is going to be on that pick and roll with Braden Smith and Kaufman Wren. I think they're going to switch on it. Purdue runs that very well, but they're going to leave some shooters. And Purdue's only going to be in this game if those guys are knocking down shots. And Lawyer's a guy to watch. You know, he has had some big games in the NCAA tournament for this team. I think he's averaging 11 points per game in 7 tournament games in his career. And that includes getting a goose egg in the national championship game last year. So he kicked that out and he's around 13 points per game. He is really one to watch. Again, which do you think offers a little more value here, the side or the total in this game?
Probably the total, because no one you hit the nail right in the middle. I mean, no one talks about Houston's offense. They always want to talk about their defense, but their offense, you said it, puts up 70 points every night they're on the court. Well,
and you know, to quote our buddy Arun Shiva, the Indian Cowboy, he has had a long running theory that it's underdog and over, right? If you like the underdog, you take the over. You know, if you like the favorite, you take the under thinking they can score. But again, I just feel like Purdue is a good team. I know it's going to sound like I'm contradicting myself. I do think Houston finds a way to win this game. I do think that they find a way to win this game. But I still think the points are the play. In fact, that's going to be my free play that I'm going to give to you guys right now. Take Purdue plus 8.5. I will be surprised if this game is a blowout. I will be really surprised if this isn't a very competitive game, because Purdue has been a top 10, top 15 caliber team in my estimation all season long. They beat Alabama in the non-conference. They played top-end teams, top-end talent in the Big Ten. They were in the national championship game last year. So we've kind of seen them perform at this stage. And like I said, I will be a little more shocked. I would be more shocked if Houston blows out Purdue than I would be if Purdue wins outright. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, let's move on. We got 2 more games, then we're going to get you guys out of here after Raphael's free play. Again, $60 free premium member picks. The link is in the description. Click on that. Go to Doc Sports. That is $60, absolutely free to use towards any handicapper, any package that you want. So, Raphael, the numbers are up for the Elite 8 games tomorrow. Texas Tech, I'm seeing at plus 6.5 versus Florida. What do you think about where this number came out?
There's 2 sevens out there, one in Vegas and one offshore, and I'm hoping copy and paste goes because I want more. I like Texas Tech in this game plus the points, and I think they can actually win this game. I was high on Texas Tech, thinking there was 2 teams. I hated calling these 2 teams sleepers, but no one was talking about them coming in a tournament. It was Texas Tech in Arizona. Arizona lost yesterday. Texas Tech got a miracle yesterday. We'll just call it that. We just said Arkansas blew the game. So now they're playing with free money, and I think they're going to be really hyped in this one. And I think that momentum carries over in this one. I like Texas Tech, but I want more points.
Yeah. Are you surprised that this number is, you know, we're getting up to 7. Florida was a 6-point favorite against Maryland yesterday. We saw what they did to Maryland, and they didn't even play well. Honestly, Florida looked like trash in the first half. They had 13 turnovers in the first half. I don't know how you win a game where you have 13 at this stage, how you win a game that you have 13 first half turnovers, much less win by double digits. Are you a little surprised? Again, success of the SEC. Florida is a very popular national championship pick. I'm sure the books have liability on Florida winning this region. Are you a little surprised that this number isn't bigger? That number isn't 8.5, 9, kind of like the Duke line was yesterday, kind of like the Auburn line is today, that they're not trying to price out Florida to stimulate action on Texas Tech?
Yeah, I made this 8, and I knew I would love to get +8 betting Texas Tech, but I knew where the money should have come, which I'm shocked it didn't come sooner on Florida. But maybe the odds makers and maybe the bettors know for the last 4 halves, Florida looked like trash for 3. Both games against both halves against UConn, they escaped the miracle of that one, and then the first half yesterday with 13 turnovers. They played one good half in their last 2 games, so I kind of understand why they maybe think Texas Tech could hang around, and if Florida starts off trashy again, they're coming out of a hole. But I'm a little bit shocked. But again, I'm hoping for more points because I think Texas Tech can win this game and hang around at the same time.
Do you think that the Alex Condon injury has anything to do with this line, or is he not a big enough name, big enough guy to? Yeah, if you're not sure who Alex Condon is, he's the starting center for Florida, who absolutely screwed me last night on my top daily prop play. He needed him to have 11 points. That's it, Raphael. That's all I needed.
Didn't want to say it. I didn't want
to
mention it.
4 points in the first 5 minutes. Then he got a little boo-boo, hurt his ankle. I wish he hadn't come back into the game. That made it even worse. If he went out for the game, it's like, okay, bad luck. Instead, he sits for 30 minutes, comes back in for like the last 8 minutes of the game, doesn't score again, just to kind of rub my face in it. Not that I'm still salty about it there, viewers, but I am. Okay, the other game that we're looking at, okay, this number jumped out at me. And it jumped out of the public, obviously, because if you look at the early betting on it, Alabama +7 against Duke tomorrow. And what I saw when I looked was about 3/4, around 75% of the tickets in this game coming in on Bama, around 90% of the money coming in on Bama. And what is interesting about this number, Raphael, is I saw it opened at 6.5 and moved to 7. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, so, DraftKings has that 7.5 right now.
Yeah. Explain this one to me and to the viewers. This is a pure reverse line movement because everybody and their sister is on Alabama, but the line's going the other way.
But the bettors are gonna bet Duke. Alabama's people, the spring break people who've been drinking since Thursday and gonna come up to the window are gonna say, "Ooh, Alabama plays basketball." We all know who Duke is. I mean, Duke is the man. Duke money will come in. Hate them, love them, whatever. Duke money always comes in. It doesn't matter who's a better team. And let's face it, if Alabama's not hot in their 3-point shots, McNeese can beat them. Me and you can find 3 guys to beat Alabama. It's all about their jump shot and can go in. I like the total. I'm a little bit shocked it opened up at 174. Actually dipped a half a point to 173.5. If yesterday's game went over and we all see what Duke can do on the offensive end, I think this game right here might have the most points scored out of the whole NCAA tournament this year.
You think so? You think Duke will try to run with Alabama, and that we'll see another game in the hundreds, basically?
I'm not run with each other. I just think their offense flows so well at both of them, and just Cooper Flag kid he's fun to watch.
Yeah, Duke shot. I'm a little worried because of how well Duke shot yesterday. I've already talked about Alabama and all the threes they made. That was awesome. But Duke put on a clinic. They were 33 of 55 from the field. That's exactly 60% that they shot yesterday. And look, we know what Alabama can do, will do, has done. But do you think that Duke can sustain that level of efficiency?
I think they can. I think they can. I think they had the better talent than Alabama. Alabama just has shooters. Do they have overall talent? Good talent? No, I think I'll give that to Duke. Duke is a deep team that we normally don't see a Duke team. Duke was never a big deep team. They usually only run 7 guys. Duke has some people on the bench that can come off and put some points on the board for bench scoring.
So between now, this is Friday afternoon that we're recording the show. Obviously, those that are watching live, thank you for dropping in and making us part of your day. What do you anticipate happening with this side and with this total over the next 24 hours?
I'm going to probably grab the 173.5 now because I think the public will bet it over just because of what they saw yesterday of all these. And what if all the games go over tonight as well? Then I think the bettors push this up to 175, 176. So I'll grab the 173.5, and if I need to get off the number, I'll just do it for live betting, which I've been doing a lot lately to help me sustain a nice bankroll for baseball season. But I think I'm going to grab the 173.5 now.
Aren't you so? Again, to go back to my original point, aren't you surprised that Alabama's getting this many points though? Like, say what you want about Duke, about how good they've been. Like, explain this one to me. Like, Alabama, they were in the Final Four last year. They were a preseason top 5 team. You know, they are on the short list of teams, obviously, to win it all. They just they just gave up 88 points to a team they beat by 25. Okay, you don't see that often, that type of firepower. Little disrespect. I'm not talking about like bulletin board material or any of that crap. We're bettors. We don't care about people's feelings or the players' feelings or whatever. But little disrespect from the odds makers, making them a 7.5 point underdog here. You think?
I was sleeping last night. Who did Alabama play?
Those wacky Mormons came down from the mountain.
And Duke beat, let's face it, a blue blood Arizona team. You have to look at it that and then throw in, Thomas will agree with me in the chat, throw in Duke, Cooper flag money.
Okay. All right, Raphael, you got a free play to give to the peoples?
I was going to give my free play with the Purdue team total over 61.5, which is a free play of mine over at the Doc's channel as well. But I'm going to take Michigan State first half -2. I think this game is going to be a lot closer. I agree with Griffin said earlier. If you do like Ole Miss, take on a money line. But I think Michigan State controls the tempo early, flexes a little bit their muscles, out rebounds them early. We all said Izzo's phenomenal in the month of March. He's covered 6 of his last 7. Michigan State's 10-1 against the spread. We all know that, but I'm going to be comfortable taking the first half first and then maybe worry the second half or if I do anything in the second half. But I think they jump out early. I'll lay the -2. And I would maybe even sprinkle maybe a little money line instead if you don't want to take the -2.
And I know that there's a lot of people out there. You might have been looking for a little NHL, a little NBA, maybe even a little baseball talk. We will get to all of those sports. Like, this is basically our last big weekend of college basketball action. This show will be on every Friday, so we will have a lot more baseball talk, a lot more NBA playoff talk, Stanley Cup talk. I will say, though, I gave my one free play on Purdue. My other free play, I'm actually going to go with a little baseball, Raphael. Not sure how opening day treated you, but I was able to win on opening day, so off to a positive start in baseball. I should just take the rest of the season off, right? Take the money.
100% season.
All right, I'm taking the under in the Pittsburgh-Miami game. The Pirates at the Marlins. Take under. That's a flat 8 that we're getting. These two teams had 9 runs combined yesterday. They only had 11 hits. They were the beneficiaries of 14 walks yesterday. I don't see that being the case. They scored some Miami scored some runs late against Pittsburgh's bullpen to push that number over. These are 2 bad offenses, and I think the under is going to be the play. We saw some higher scoring games on opening day. 10 of the 14 games went over the total, so I think people are going to make the early season mistake of assuming that that's a trend, even though it was only one day. So again, bad lineups. I like both the pitchers. Mitch Keller is sharp. Connor Gillespie making his starting debut. He made 3 appearances last year, but this is his first career start. He looked sharp during the spring as well. I am definitely expecting a lower scoring game from 2 bad baseball teams. Take the Pirates and the Marlins under. So, all right, he is Raphael Esparza. I am Robert Ferringo. We are with Doc Sports. All of you have a fantastic weekend, and be sure to check back again next week. Carpe diem, and good luck.